Welcome back to the Talking Archive. My name is Josh Jacobs, and our conversation with Brian Beirne, Mr. Rock and Roll, continues. And now, in Seattle, I remember years ago you told me that one of the songs you broke before anybody else was "I Had Too Much to Dream Last Night" by the Electric Prunes. I think they were from Seattle, if I'm not mistaken. Do you still have that 45 that you broke the song on, or are you not sure about that one?
I'm not sure. And, it's been years since I've gone through all of the collections, so I'm not sure. But, I broke several records over the years, which, I'm proud of. I've got some gold records on the wall from, the Go-Go's to Crystal Gales, Don't It Make My Brown Eyes Blue, and there was, and there's a gold record I have from RCA for My Way with Elvis.
Wow!
Because I was the one that told RCA that they should release a version of My Way, and I said it's the thing to do right now. So I've got a gold record on my wall for that.
That's great. And now, after WGAR, did you go to the Big 610 KFRC after that?
I went to, actually from Cleveland, I went back to Sacramento for about 6 months. Mm-hmm. And just kind of regrouping where I wanted to go career-wise. I had a terrific offer to go into television at the time as an anchorman. And I was weighing that, and they were going to send me to, it was CBS, and they were going to send me down to San Diego and then to Dallas and so forth, and eventually groom me for New York. And I said, God, I was so tired of moving. As you said, I worked for, a dozen different stations, at least that I can remember. It could have been 14, I don't know. And I said, if I go down this path, they're going to spend a lot of money advertising me and grooming me. And then if I, at some point, say, I don't know if this is for me right now. I enjoyed doing television. I really did. And I debated about it, but I said, one thing I'd never got out of my system was to become a program director and program an oldies station, and the oldies format was just hitting then. So the gentleman that I had worked for the first time in Sacramento as a general manager was now the head of RKO, and at the time, RKO was the Rolls-Royce of broadcasting, and they had stations in every major market, and everything was just top notch. So I flew down to L.A. for an interview, and they said, "Well, we've got a station in Chicago, and you know that we only have stations that are in the top 3, and that's all we want is all of our stations have to be in the top 3. And this one is in 22nd place in Chicago." And they said, "We've got to fix it." I said, "I can fix it." They said, well, so spent the afternoon with them, and they said, "All right, we'll give you a shot." So they hired me to be the fix-it man and go to Chicago and see what I could do about getting them out of the doldrums of 22nd place and getting them to number 3.
Wow. What station was that in Chicago?
That was WFYR, the Great Chicago Fire.
Oh, wow. And that's where my parents are from.
Yeah. So I was there for a year and a half, and in our last rating book before I left, I had taken them from 22nd to number 3.
Yeah, that's great.
And they said, "Great job, kid. Now we're going to move you." So they sent me to San Francisco to fix KFRC FM. Mm-hmm. did, and then they said, "Great job, kid. We're going to sell the station. We're going to move you again." So they gave me a choice of going to Boston, Miami, or L.A., and obviously I took L.A.
Oh, yeah.
Because that's where I always wanted to wind up.
What was the format for KFRC FM?
It was oldies.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It wasn't a
And
simulcast.
the same thing in Chicago. It was an oldie station. All of outside of KHJ and KFRC AM, and I think maybe their station in Boston. All the rest of those, were top 40 stations. So on the FMs, they were starting the oldies format.
Wow. Now, with the oldies format back then, how many songs on average were on the playlist, at least when you programmed the station?
Oh, well, when I was at K-Earth, I actually... most of the library, and actually most of the library that from Chicago was all built from my record collection. And we eventually had 5,000 titles on the wall at K-Earth.
Wow.
And when I left, there were 284. So I'm playing them over and over and over.
Hence the joke, the same 101 oldies over and over again.
Oh, yeah.
I remember, because I remember K-Earth, back in the 80s having a wide variety of music and then selling in the 90s. It had been trimmed to so little, yet, you heard Charlie Van Dyke's voice going, "All the great oldies." I'm like, no, it's not all the great oldies.
No, not all of them, no. I took them with me.
Yeah. I remember my dad also said when you were at K-Earth, you had been there for 29 years and 10 different station managers. Maybe my dad was exaggerating, but maybe he wasn't. I'm not sure. But who was your favorite manager and program director at K-Earth in the 29 years you were there?
Pat Norman. I had worked for Pat at KFRC, and he was just a first-class guy. I mean, absolutely the best. When I had a great rating book, which I usually did, I mean, Pat would send flowers to my wife, Cindy, and he'd send us a bottle of Dom Perignon champagne, and he was just the best. True fine gentleman and a great general manager.
And next time here on the Talking Archive, we'll find out how Brian Beirne, Mr. Rock and Roll, started the Legends of Rock and Roll concert series.